What's up, guys? Artem MMA Analysis here, back with another very quick video for a full card. In case you guys didn't know, I've just been really busy at the moment. YouTube has kind of shafted me as well. I'm not really getting the views or the exposure as I used to get a few months ago. So ever since I've come back, I've kind of been shafted a little bit on YouTube side. So I'm losing a little bit of motivation. I'm working 6 days a week at the moment, which is pretty full on. So I don't really have the time to be making the videos that I want to be making. But with that being said, I'm still going to get into the predictions, and my mouse has decided to not work just as I start recording, which is great. But actually, so I don't waste anyone's time, let's go over the picks first. Victor Altamirano with not a lot of confidence. Ramis Brahimage, Jonathan Martinez, Hannah Goldie, not a lot of confidence. Terence Mckinney, Josie and Nunes with a decent amount of confidence there. Still undecided on this fight. I am going to go Ignacio Bahamondes. Next one, once again, undecided, really. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going to go with Ahmed Suruki, Ji-Yeon Kim, Misha Sarkinov, and Islam Makhachev for the main event. So they are my picks. Let's break down the individual fights, man. Victor Altamirano, this is a very close fight. This is a test for both guys. We're about to see which one is UFC level and which one isn't. That's literally what this test is about. Two guys coming off Dana White's Contender Series. The winner is probably going to move on and do pretty decent things in the flyweight division. The loser is probably going to stay at the bottom end of the flyweight division until they can get a few wins. That's what's on the line for this fight, in my opinion. It's relatively high stakes for two debuting guys. Both winning split decisions. Carlos Candelario also got a contract in Victor Altamirano's fight, so we'll be interested to see how that goes. Carlos Hernandez won a split decision of Daniel Perez, where, in my opinion, Daniel Perez won, but that just is what it is. I do like the experience of Victor. I also like the level of competition that he's been fighting as well. Nate Smith, who was 6-1, 14-6, 4-1, and Carlos Hernandez on the other hand, 3-1, 1-1, 2-2, 2-1. Not to mention the 14-2 Jared Brooks, that Victor just fought, who is I think he's got a split decision loss to Davison Figueiredo, which you could argue he won, unless I'm talking about someone different. But Carlos Hernandez fighting out a very good camp. He's got a lot of amateur experience as well. I think he's a world champion on the amateur scene. But I'm gonna go with Victor Altamirano in a very close decision. I don't like how Tapology has picked 78% Altamirano. This fight is a lot closer than that. Very good argument could be made for Carlos Hernandez. We probably will see a few takedown attempts for Carlos Hernandez, but I think Victor's going to keep the fight on the feet. Ramis Brahimage, Michael Gilmore. Ramis Brahimage has done very well to manage to get this fight, because after his Court McGee loss, we completely gassed out. Actually, that's one thing he said. He completely gassed out against Court McGee, and now he's taking a fight 1 month later. I don't really know what he's trying to prove, but it's going to be good for him. I do think Ramis Brahimage is going to get a submission pretty early on. Michael Gilmore is definitely not someone to kind of laugh at, though. He's a very good opponent. He was an Ultimate on the Ultimate Fighter. He lost on the Ultimate Fighter, but the UFC, man, Michael Gilmore did the UFC a favor. The UFC is obviously going to do Michael Gilmore a favor. They must have given him a 2-fight contract. I'm assuming that this is the last fight on his contract. It was meant to be against someone else, and I completely forgot, oh man, who it was meant to be. But yeah, I don't think that they're doing Michael Gilmore the biggest favor on this one, though. Ramis Brahimage is stepping in. It is taking place at welterweight, so he's going to have to drop down from middleweight to welterweight, does Michael. And I think that Ramis is going to be able to get the submission in the first round. All of his wins are by submission, all 9 of them. I think all of them are in the first 2 rounds as well. He's meant to fight Johnny Parsons. Oh yeah, Johnny Parsons probably beaten Michael Gilmore, let's be honest. So yeah, Ramis Brahimage submission round 1. I think he's just trying to prove something. I think he's just trying to get a win back to get a little bit more momentum, because he hasn't really looked amazing in the UFC. He is 1-2. I think he's just trying to find another win there. Pretty straightforward pick in this one here. Jonathan Martinez versus Alejandro Perez. When Alejandro Perez was in his prime, he was borderline top 15, but he wasn't top 15. But now he's not in his prime anymore, in my opinion. He's coming off a couple of losses to Cody Stamann and Yadong Song, which is fine, man. But and he also submitted Johnny Eduardo with like his legs and an armbar. It was a pretty weird fight. But Jonathan Martinez, I do think, is just a little bit better all around at this point in his career. He's only 27 years old. He's got a win over the undefeated Vav Lashvili. He lost to Davey Grant. I mean, Davey Grant went to a split decision with Oh man, why can I not remember this guy's name? I'm too tired, guys. I had 4 hours sleep last night. Thomas Almeida win. I mean, that win's not too bad, to be honest. Frankie Sainz lost to Andre Europe split decision in a fight that you could argue we won. But yeah. Anyway, with all that being said, yeah, I'm just gonna go with Jonathan Martinez. I think he's gonna get the job done. Jinyu Fry versus Hannah Goldie. I'm picking Hannah Goldie for the one and only reason that she is very, very strong. To be honest, like, yeah, like, kind of look at the size of those arms. They're bigger than mine. I think Hannah Goldie is just going to be stronger and bigger than Jinyu Fry. Jinyu Fry is an atom weight. She's coming up to 115 to fight in the UFC. She's naturally more of an atom weight fighter, so she's not really filled into the 115. And she has now, especially when she made her UFC debut. She was still kind of an atom weight fighting at 115. She's filled in a little bit now, but she is 36 years old. I do think Hannah Goldie. I personally don't think too highly of Hannah Goldie. No disrespect to her, but she just hasn't really proven herself in the UFC yet for me to jump on her hype train there. But she did submit Emily Whitmire. I predicted she would do that. She lost to Diana Belbita and Miranda Granger. Miranda Granger was undefeated at the time, which is fair. But yeah, I do think that Hannah Goldie's going to just put this fight up against the cage. I think she's going to outmuscle Jinyu Fry because she's a lot smaller. I'm going Hannah Goldie. I think decision is probably most likely as well. Terence Mckinney versus Freesian. Now, this is a great fight. This is an awesome fight. A lot of people will probably be jumping on Terence Mckinney for the one and only reason that he's just got so much hype behind him. His last few wins, I think, have ended in the first minute. And that doesn't happen without having crazy power. But Freesian is a former K1 kickboxer as well. You've really got to kind of respect that aspect of him. But the reason why I like Terence McKinney so much is if he's getting picked apart on the feet, he's got wrestling to fall back on. He's been training with Michael Chiesa in wrestling since high school. Michael Chiesa was his high school wrestling coach. Pretty cool how that's kind of come full circle. I think as a pure striker, I could look like an idiot saying this, but I think as a pure striker, Freesian is a little bit better, a little more technical. But I think Terence McKinney's got that power, man. He's got that fight-changing power. Do I think a decision is going to happen? Potentially. I think that Terence McKinney is going to hurt Freesian a few times, but I think that we might actually see a little bit of wrestling. Hopefully he hasn't fallen in love with his hands too much against someone like Freesian, who you just cannot overlook on the feet, man. But I am going McKinney. A lot of people will be picking McKinney just because of there's a lot of hype behind him, but I'm picking McKinney because I think he's a bit more well-rounded. Josie Nunes versus Ramona Pasquale. This is a very late notice replacement for Ramona Pasquale. Josie Nunes has multiple opponents fall out. She was originally scheduled to fight someone, Wu Yanan, and then she was going to fight Jennifer Gonzalez, and then USADA, I think, knocked on Jennifer Gonzalez's door, and that wasn't happening anymore. I think that's what happened, and now she's fighting Ramona Pasquale. I picked Bea Maliki to beat Josie Nunes with a lot of confidence. Josie Nunes made me look like a massive idiot, at least to be honest, because Bea Maliki was 5'9", Josie Nunes was 5'2", Swedish kickboxing champion. I mean, Josie Nunes is scary. She's scary for 5'2". This fight is taking place at 145 as well, so she's 5'2" at 145. Hopefully one day we could see Josie Nunes maybe make it back down to the bantamweight division or flyweight division. But I think that we're going to see Josie Nunes knock out Ramona Pasquale. She throws heaters. Ramona's pretty good, but she's 33 years old. She hasn't really fought the same level of competition that Josie Nunes has, because she has fought decent level of competition on the regional scene herself. And I think this is going to be a pretty good win to add to her record. I'm going Nunes, and I'm going to go first or second round KO. I really do believe she's going to knock her out. This is a hard fight, man, in my opinion. I don't think that this should be a minus 260 favourite for Ignacio. No disrespect to him. I did pick him to beat Roosevelt Roberts because I was very confident in his striking. He won that fight very well. On the other hand, Zhu Rong, though, is about to turn 22 and he's already got 22 professional fights, which is pretty insane. He beat Brandon Jenkins. Is Brandon Jenkins UFC level? I personally don't think so yet. He's still a very exciting fighter, but just not quite there. Rodrigo Vargos, he did lose to, and prior to that, he has been beating relatively decent levels of competition and not so great levels of competition on the regional scene. Personally, I really do like Zhu Rong as a fighter. He's definitely someone that I will be looking out for, just because he's only 22 years old. He's already got so much experience. He's already fighting in the UFC. But I do think this is Ignacio Bahamondi's side. I do wish that they gave Zurong a little bit of an easier opponent. Just kind of build him up, man. The guy's only 22. Don't feed him to another prospect in Ignacio Bahamondes with a lot of hype behind him. I think we're just going to see a decision win for Ignacio. I think he's going to be able to keep the fight on the feet. Zurong does have wrestling if he needs it. But I personally think we're going to see Ignacio keep the fight on the feet and just outstrike Zurong. Uses kickboxing to get the job done. Don't mention, sorry, I forgot to mention his height and reach advantage as well, which will play a pretty big part on the feet in my opinion. I'm going to Ignacio Bahamondes, and I'm going to Ignacio Bahamondes by decision. Now this is a great fight. Gregory Rodriguez versus Ahmed Petrosian. Part of me really does want me to pick Ahmed Petrosian. The guy has an insane stand-up. He's got great stand-up. He fought Kaloyan Kaloev at 205 only 3 months ago. He'd kicked him and finished him off. Prior to that, though, he has been fighting guys over on the regional scene. Actually, he's been fighting pretty decent guys on the regional scene. But with that being said, though, Gregory Rodriguez has that UFC experience, man. He knocked out Josh Freeman. I think it was in the first round. It came out, beat Dusko Todorovic in a great decision. Dusko turns out wasn't really as great as we thought he was, but still a pretty good win. And Junyong Park is a very legit UFC fighter, in my opinion. I think that's a great win to have on your record, especially a finish as well. Gregory Rodriguez, he is a little bit, he's got a little bit of well-roundedness to him. It is actually worth noting that he did get knocked out by Jordan Williams. That's scary, man. If someone told me they were picking Ahmed Petrosian because Gregory Rodriguez got knocked out by Jordan Williams, I would understand, to be honest. Man, I think we're going to just have to go with Gregory Rodriguez. If he needs to, he can get the fight to the ground. But dude, this is a great fight. This is a great stand-up fight. Ahmed Petrosian, man, he's a live dog. He's a live underdog for sure, and I can understand why people would have confidence in him. Ahmed Suruki versus Joel Alvarez. The thing about Joel Alvarez, which I don't really like, is he just doesn't make weight. He hasn't made weight in his last 2 fights. His last fight he weighed in at 157. I think in the weigh-in before that he weighed in like 158 against Alexander Yakovlev. 159.5. Okay, that was a big weight miss there. And prior to that, I think he did make weight at 155 a couple of times. But if he doesn't make weight this time, Dana White's just going to tell him, dude, you cannot be fighting at 155 anymore. But I have heard very good things about his weight cut at the moment. Apparently it's going to plan. He's got a dietitian. I think he's sitting at 165 pounds. 160 pounds or something like that at the moment, so his weight cut is going really good. But he's fighting Ahmed Suruki, and a guy that went to a pretty close fight with Islam Makhachev, and then after that he has gone on a little bit of a run. He's only 5'7", which is a lot shorter than Joel Alvarez, and he's got a much shorter reach as well. But Ahmed Suruki, I don't think is going to want to keep this fight on the feet. I know Joel Alvarez does have 16 submission wins. That's right, 16 submission wins, 3 knockout wins. You got to have employed that. 100% finish rate and 19 wins. But I think Ahmed Suruki is going to get this fight to the mat. I think he's just going to be able to play it smart enough to not get taken down. And also, the fact that he is so much shorter means he's not going to have to duck too much to try and get Joel Alvarez to the ground. But maybe because Joel Alvarez is going to be so massive in that cage, maybe he can use his strength to kind of defend the takedowns. But I'm going to Suruki, and I think he's going to get the job done by decision. This mainly is a pick because I don't really like Priscilla Cachoeira. She was trying to eye gouge out Jillian Robertson, man. I don't really respect that too much. I think that was a pretty dirty move. I don't like it, personally. But with that being said, Jeon Kim unfortunately hasn't had the greatest run in the UFC. Her last 5 fights, she is 2-3. And her wins are split decision over Melinda Fabian and Nadia Kassem. There's definitely an argument to be made here that that Priscilla Cachoeira can beat Jeon Kim. I don't really understand why she's a minus 200 favorite. I think that's a bit much, man. But I'm gonna go with Jeon Kim just because I want her to win. To be honest, that's literally why. Misha Sokonov cutting down to middleweight again. Former 205 pounder, he made his middleweight debut against Krzysztof Jotko, lost a split decision there. Now he's fighting Wellington Turman. I have actually made an individual fight breakdown on this fight already. I think I picked Misha Sokonov to win. I mean, the guy did submit Jimmy Crute. He also submitted Patrick Cummins as well. Wellington Turman's a very young guy. in the UFC, but unfortunately he hasn't really gone on the greatest run as such a young guy. He's only 25 years old. He got knocked out by Andrew Sanchez, then turned back around, got knocked out again, then 2 months later fought Sam Alvey, man. I don't really know what was going on there, but yeah, I'm going to go Misha Sokunov to win this fight by submission or by decision. I do think he's going to beat Wellington Turman. He's going to be a lot bigger than Wellington Turman. I mean, he's cutting down from 205. But I would prefer that Wellington Turman won. He's only 25 years old. He does have a little bit of a bright future ahead of him. I think Wellington Turman also had a cancelled fight prior to this one, where he was meant to be on like a pay-per-view. Yeah, against Rodolfo Vieira. That's right. I want to see that fight again. I want to see that happen again. But Misha Sokunov, Wellington Turman. I think one of this fight's Rodolfo Vieira. That would make sense. But I'm going to go Sokunov, decision or submission, like most people have. And Bobby Green versus Islam Makhachev, short notice fight for Bobby Green. As much as I really do want to pick Bobby Green, and as much as I would love to pick Bobby Green, I just don't think he's going to get the job done, man. The problem with this fight as well is Islam Makhachev, if he wins, is he even going to get a title shot? Because I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to be deserving of a title shot, yeah, even with a win over Bobby Green, because the only good opponent he's really fought is Dan Hooker. He's in top 10. Thiago Moises was not ranked before that fight was made. Drew Dober, I don't think he's ranked anymore. And that win is starting to not look so great. And but the Ahmed Suruki win is aging pretty well, let's be honest. But Islam Makhachev, I think if he wins this fight, they're just going to have to rebook the Beneil Dariush fight. I don't think that he should get a title shot off this one, even if he is on a massive win streak. Bobby Green, great takedown defense. Also great boxing as well. Not really known for one-punch knockout power. I think his last win by KO was against Alaio Quinta. But prior to that, I think his last KO win or finish win was in 2018. So the guy's more of a volume striker, and I think that's going to play into the part of Islam Makhachev, because don't forget, guys, Islam Makhachev has been chinned before. His one loss is a pretty bad knockout loss. I loved watching it after he beat Dan Hooker, because Dan Hooker was my favourite fighter. He is my favourite fighter, sorry. And unfortunately, he lost. I do think that fight's going to play out very similarly as well. I do think Bobby Green is eventually going to get taken down by Islam Makhachev and submitted. I love the people that are picking Green, though. I respect that. I respect Green for taking the fight on short notice as well. The fact that it's at catchweight at 160 benefits Islam Makhachev because he's got a big weight cut anyway. Yeah, I can see Islam Makhachev getting the job done. Bobby Green, though, if he stuffs a few takedowns and picks apart Islam Makhachev on the feet, I think a lot of people will be very happy, because I think a lot of people have kind of had enough of Islam begging for a title shot when he hasn't fought anyone ranked. But anyway, with that being said, going Islam Makhachev, I think he's going to win the fight by submission, and that's the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far, congratulations. To be honest, I don't really expect anyone to make it this far in these videos, but have a great day, and I'll see you later.